So, breastfeeding in public. I just watched WellHeyProductions video on it, and it's, before anyone watches it, please know it is loaded with sarcasm. And he comments what his opinion on breastfeeding in public is below. And honestly, I've seen posts about it and everything else. I've even seen like a screenshot of this page about these men wanting to stop women shoving their sexual organs into the mouths of babies because that's sexual abuse to them. Okay, let me tell you a secret. Breasts are not sexual organs, and the entire purpose of breasts is not for arousal or anything to do with sex. The purpose of breasts is to feed babies, because breasts produce milk. Just like with every other mammal in the entire frickin' ecosystem, produce milk out of the mammaries. The babies eat it before they can eat anything else, because it's got all the nutrients that they need. Imagine that. And actually, fun fact, the breast milk that is developed for the certain baby is different depending on the baby, depending on what time of year they're born, and actually it's more cued to the baby. My mother had 3 kids all at different times of the year, and she said that the milk that was produced when I was born in December, and we lived in Cold Lake at the time, so Cold Lake, Alberta, it's like this tiny little town in northern Alberta. Anyways, so it was like it's called Cold Lake because it's freaking freezing. Anyways, it was like the daytime high the day I was born was like -40. Anyways, cold ass weather at the time of year and the time and place that she was, and she said the milk that was produced for me was very fatty and very thick, and then the milk that was produced for my sister, who was born in June, was a lot thinner and not as fatty. Because obviously, you know, fat insulates. Also, my sister was a lot heavier when she was born than I was. But anyways, so yeah, okay, you can use formula, but as someone who has, you know, babysat a lot, formula makes the shit stink. Breast milk does not. Sure, there's pumping, but you got a newborn baby. If you have any free time, you want to use that sleeping. But anyways, I digress. Breastfeeding in public, fine if you really feel like you can cover it, but honestly, I personally don't care. I worked at a children's baby store for a year and a half, and there's plenty of breastfeeding mothers. We did have a little, you know, if someone wants to breastfeed, we had a rocking chair in a little area with a curtain and whatever, but a lot of times it would just, it was also doubled as change rooms, so like if someone was using both change rooms, they're like, I don't care, just set up the rocking chair and just not breastfeed near the change rooms. They didn't really care. Because here are the things. Breasts are not sex organs. Sex organs are the ones responsible for reproduction, so vagina and penis, and as well as, you know, testicles, ovaries, uterus, etc. That's the sexual organs because they're responsible for reproduction, and they're used during sex. I'm sorry, but I don't remember, you know, breasts being a key factor in having sex. Yes, playing with them and whatever else is fun and pleasurable. I'm a lesbian, so I like my boobies, but that doesn't mean that they are, you know, you need boobs to have sex type of thing. Whereas you kind of need the other stuff too. But I mean, everyone has sex different ways. But anyways, moving on. Breasts are secondary sex characteristics. Sex not in the let's go do the hanky-panky sense, sex in the as in, you know, male or female. Even though they're multiple genders, you know, the two sex, whatever. Do you know what else is secondary sex characteristics? Adam's apples, facial hair, I don't know, curves, like a big butt and small hips on a woman, stuff like that, pubic hair, which you don't really show because that's right down there, but you get the idea. Oh, no, it's not a secondary sex characteristics, everyone has that, sorry. Anyways, you get the idea. Secondary sex characteristics are basically other ways in which the body is different depending on male or female, the way it develops, because you have more estrogen or more testosterone in your system. And not every single woman like has boobs in the first place. I found out actually today that 98% of women have cellulite, which is actually slightly higher than the percentage of women who have boobs. So I'm like, oh, what? Really? Cool. Anyways, another thing, no cellulite shame, because, like, only 2% of women don't have it. Da-da. Anyways, but yeah. Basically, the reason why boobs are even, like, okay, the reason why boobs are found attractive in a sexual sense is, first of all, our culture decides, no, you gotta cover those things up. And so, since it's not something that, you know, it's secretive and everything else, you know, it's seen as attractive and whatnot. But also because, same reason why being curvy and having a big butt is typically more attractive. So a woman with a smaller waist and wider hips is typically seen as more attractive than someone with smaller hips and bigger belly. It's because their bodies are better suited to produce offspring, which is the whole purpose of sex in the first place. So you're sexually attracted to whatever. So if you have big boobs, that means you can breastfeed really well. If you have small waist and big hips, that means you can handle, as well as that's why men prefer, like, certain percentage of men, and also I'm looking at a very heteronormative sense, but anyways, I'll explain the whole gay thing with that as well. But anyways, is because the majority of men tend to prefer curvier women because their bodies are better, more capable of producing offspring and surviving, so producing multiple offspring. Because again, the purpose of sex is to have babies. Now, the whole thing with the gay whatever, it's basically the part of our brains that says to be attracted to someone. For lesbians, it's that of a heterosexual man, and vice versa, and then when you get into everything else, it's a whole bunch of complicated shit, but you get the idea. Like, it's kind of, yeah, the idea is, so that's why boobs are attractive, is because, you know, if you have big boobs, you can handle breastfeeding really well. And actually, here's another little fun fact about boobs, because boobs are cool. You know how humans are the only ones that have boobs when they're not, you know, with child or breastfeeding? It's because, actually, the shape of our faces. Because you'll notice almost every other mammal who breastfeeds, they have a bit of a snout. And so, you know, with the baby, and you see, like, the udders or the bellies of a breastfeeding other animal, they don't stick out too much, except for with cows. So, it's interesting because we instead of, or like, our boobs actually get bigger and whatever is them, you don't really see, like, as much lumps. You see a little bit, but not really. It's because instead of the faces reaching out to get the nipple, it's the nipple reaching out to get the face. And also, babies that have the flatter noses so that they can breathe out the sides. Actually, remember in babysitting, we were taught how to do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and you have to actually put your mouth over the, for a baby, you have to put your mouth over the nose and the mouth, because if you pinch the nose like you do for an adult mouth-to-mouth, then you could mess up that thing and they won't be able to breathe while breastfeeding. And holy crap, this video is way longer than I meant to be. But you get the idea. Boobs are cool and nothing to be ashamed of.